I've made over 100 calls to the FBI. Might as well make one more, right? Mostly I've called the FBI in Virginia and Washington State and Wyoming and Colorado. I think I called the FBI about 10 times in Virginia. I think I probably called them 30 times, maybe 40 or 50 while I was in Cheyenne. I called the Cheyenne FBI. I called the Denver FBI. I've repeatedly tried to show them the evidence. I don't have the ability or the facilities to do it over the internet. I would love to be able to. The closest I can do is to do everything that I can on YouTube. My Facebook was obviously not designed for showing evidence. I'm not allowed to protect myself. I'm not capable of protecting myself. Not physically, not financially, and obviously not mentally.
You have reached the Omaha Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If this is an emergency, hang up now and dial 911.
Fuck 911.
To be on alert for a phone scam that is targeting individuals while displaying the FBI's telephone number on the recipient's caller ID. The public is reminded that the FBI does not call private citizens requesting money and to never give out unsolicited requests for personal information to callers you do not know. If you are calling to report a possible internet-related crime, please visit the Internet Crime Complaint Center at www.ic3.gov. If you are a member of a law enforcement agency or you are calling to report a bank robbery or a kidnapping, press 2. If you are calling to provide information regarding other federal crimes or suspicious activity, press 3. If you are a member of the media, press 4. To inquire about career opportunities with the FBI, please visit our website at
Hello. Thank you for calling the FBI. This is not a 911 service for taking emergency calls. For emergencies, please call 911.
I've tried that. They didn't do anything.
Si usted desea escuchar este mensaje en español, por favor oprima el número 1.
In a few moments, you will be connected to an operator. This call will be recorded for quality assurance, investigative, or other purposes. If you do not wish to be recorded, please hang up and submit your tip online at tips.fbi.gov. During this call, you will be asked to provide identifying information about yourself and/or the persons about whom you are calling. We use this information to assist in investigating your tip. You do not have to provide your name or other personal information. However, the lack of information may delay or hurt our ability to investigate your tip. Any information you provide may be used for authorized purposes. To report a suspicious email, hacked email, internet scam, or ID theft, press 1. To report a tip about threat to human life, serious bodily injury, or significant violent action, press 2. To report a tip on an FBI fugitive, press 3. To report a tip on an FBI case currently highlighted in the news, press 4. To report mortgage fraud, press 5. To report telemarketing fraud, gift card fraud, identity theft, or unfair or fraudulent business practice. Thank you for contacting us. Your selected category category will need to be completed online at the website www.ic3.gov. This government website handles all complaints and tips to include suspicious email, hacked emails, internet scams, or ID theft. On this website, you will also find more information about internet-related crimes and further information to best assist you.
If I could do it on the internet, I'd have gotten it done already. I've tried.
ic3.gov. Thank you for contacting us. Your selected category will need to be completed online at the website www.ic3.gov.
Holy fucking shit. I guess I'll hang up and try again. I'll press 2 this time.
You have reached the Omaha Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If this is an emergency, hang up now and dial 911. The FBI is warning citizens to be on alert for a phone scam that is targeting individuals while displaying the FBI's telephone number on the recipient's caller ID. The public is reminded that the FBI does not call private citizens requesting money and to never give out unsolicited requests for personal information to callers you do not know. If you are calling to report a possible internet-related crime, please visit the Internet Crime Complaint Center at www.ic3.gov. If you are a member of a law enforcement agency or you are calling to report a bank robbery or a kidnapping, press 2. If you are calling to provide information regarding other federal crimes or suspicious activity, press FBI.
Hello, my name is Sean Schwartz. I've been gang stalked for about 3 years. I've taken it to law enforcement in multiple states because the harassment has involved literally people from every state of the union due to the death of Natalie Bollinger. I have been attempting to force the FBI to take a look at everything that I've been dealing with because it has happened across multiple jurisdictions. I literally broke the law to try to force that to happen because the FBI refused to investigate. Police officers have taken part in the gang stalking, and I can prove that. The Bollinger family and the police did everything in their power to prevent me from showing evidence in court, including threatening, harassing, and intimidating witnesses. There are literally hundreds of witnesses and hundreds of conversations that the FBI needs to take a look at. They also need to take a look at all of the information on my YouTube and on my Facebook because it shows the threats, harassment, and stalking that I've been having to deal with. I am a physically and mentally disabled person, and because of the stalking and the harassment, as well as multiple assaults by the police, in addition to being broke, so I have to depend on public pretenders, I have been prevented from showing any of this at any point in time. My predators were allowed to get away with the things that they did, and they actually used the term mentally ill to prevent me from making a police report. Nobody should have to break the law to defend themselves. Now, due to the fact that FBI agents were involved in this, it becomes a very complicated situation. Now, because the threats and harassment are on the internet and in real life, and across multiple states, including with police officers, I need the FBI to be involved and to take an actual serious look at this. You guys, I'm sure, have been paying attention to a lot of the stuff that's been happening with CPS and things of that nature. There's literally hundreds of situations that I have to report on. I've made hundreds of phone calls to the FBI, and nobody has ever called me back from the FBI. And as far as filling out that stuff online, I've attempted on multiple occasions to do that. It's just a very complicated thing to go through, especially when you have hundreds of things to go through. Now, I suffer from PTSD because of what's happened. And as a result, I get easily overwhelmed. And I am very much trying not to be overwhelmed right now talking to you. Because of the complications of autism, I have issues with too much going on at one time. If I have a quiet environment where I can sit down with the evidence and not have to worry about where I'm going to stay for the night and not have to worry about being retaliated against by the officers that I'm trying to turn in, and not have to worry about living with alcoholics or drug dealers, which has been the case for the last 2 years, um, I could actually sit down and do that. But because of my sensory processing issues and the fact that I don't have an environment that's safe for somebody with autism, I've been unable to do that. I should have a caseworker to help me with these things, but the fact is that the police have done everything in their power to prevent that from happening. They've also sent me used Suicide Watch on multiple occasions to cover their wrongdoing and to prevent me from making a police report. The fact is that before Natalie Bollinger was killed, I had attempted to go to police in multiple jurisdictions and was prevented from doing so. I was threatened, harassed, and assaulted on the internet and in real life. I was illegally prevented from going to court dates. I was not properly served with warrants. I mean, literally, they turned off their body cameras when they did illegal things. I needed someone to go in with me because of my disabilities. They were able to capitalize on my disabilities to get away with breaking the law repeatedly. That includes the police officers. Now, the fact is, I have a lot of evidence that I need to be able to show without being victimized.
Okay. Um, where are you calling from, Sean?
I am calling from Chapel, Nebraska.
Chapel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a phone number?
Yes, ma'am. One moment, it's on the back of my phone. Oh my God. It is 308-566-0294.
I will make a report of your call. I can't guarantee you a response, but our supervisors will look at it and see if it meets our jurisdiction guidelines and if there's anything further that they need to do. We have your phone number so we can contact you.
Well, ma'am, I am at risk right now at this very moment, and I will continue to be at
Our
risk.
office is available for telephone calls, but we do not have agents 24/7. That is what the local police is for. Unfortunately, we can't provide that protection service or anything like that.
Well, the local police here in Chapel, Nebraska have been heavily involved in this, and that's a major part of the issue. They won't do anything to document anything that I'm trying to get to them. They won't take a look at any of the evidence. They'll help my predators, and they have been helping my predators because I've been trying to get a court date against them since this all started.
Okay. You could certainly try the Nebraska State Patrol.
I have tried the Nebraska State Patrol. The problem is that the Nebraska State Patrol officer that responded to just one of the many situations as far as this goes, he is friends with the Dual County Sheriff's Department, and as a result, going to them it has not worked. I did attempt that. I did try that. They didn't do any investigating. They didn't even make an effort to do so.
Okay.
At this point in time, no officer has actually taken a look at this. The one officer that I sat with, Officer Jared Hahn, has taken part in harassing and intimidating me, along with several other officers here in Chapel who were allowed to get away with it.
Okay. I will include that information in my report then, okay?
Thank you, ma'am. I will call every day until an FBI agent actually does something.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Go to the state patrol. Miss Peaches can verify the fact that we tried the state patrol in Colorado. And we also tried the state patrol. Well, Miss Peaches didn't try the state patrol with me. I tried the state patrol when I left the office there in, or the mental hospital there in Scotts Bluff in 2018. I believe it was July 3rd, when Sheriff Scott DaCosta had his officers lie to Jen Beebe, and me and Jen Beebe were definitely having some issues at that point. I needed her there so that I could safely make a police report against those officers. When they shipped me to Scotts Bluff because I had attempted to kill myself a week earlier, obviously, I wasn't trying to kill myself. Obviously, since I was talking to Jen Beebe and I was in that office, I was not trying to kill myself. But she had me committed because I admitted to trying to kill myself a week earlier. That whole situation with Cody Selhorst sitting across from Chapel Lake watching me. He had gotten a call that I was at Chapel Lake trying to kill myself, and he pulled up behind me, and then he pulled out and parked at the other side of the lake when he realized I wasn't dead yet. There is plenty on here that if the FBI took a look at it, including the conversations with Mandy Hughes and Alyssa Rainwater and so on, these officers across the board would be in a shit ton of trouble. A shit fucking ton. The problem is that I did go to the state patrol. They did nothing. They capitalized on the term mentally ill. All of them do. When you try to turn in a bad officer, who do you go to? Rory Jepson, the man whose funeral that I came here for. Rory Jepson had the same difficulty with the Chapel Police Department, and he tried going to the state patrol as well. Who do you go to? If I was able to have a place where I could calm down and not be overwhelmed with other people's music, other people's choice in TV shows. I mean, I'm fucking traumatized from the shit that I've been through. Seeing it on fucking TV doesn't help the situation. Now, the guy who I'm staying with, he doesn't mean any harm by it. It's just, it happens to be the stuff that he's interested in. I can't stop sensory overload. As long as I am stressed the fuck out because of everything that's happened to me, I can't function well enough to do the things that I need to do. I need housing first. My own place where I'm not going to be judged, not going to be expected to have sex with somebody to stay there. Where I don't have to depend on alcoholics and drug dealers for that roof. And drug addicts. Someplace where I don't have to deal with people screaming all the fucking time. Now, if I'm able to get the FBI involved and get them to actually take a look at this shit, there are hundreds of people who offered to help and are willing to help as long as I can get someone to investigate it. There are hundreds of witnesses to this stuff. The problem is getting the police to take a look at it, getting law enforcement to take a look at it. My predators were allowed to leave repeatedly. were allowed to harm me repeatedly. The Bollinger family, after I was released from jail, and after they won their protection orders because I was illegally prevented from going, well, they continued to harass me and they continued to slander my name. I never wanted to break the law at any point in time, but the victimization that I have endured because of that slander prevents me from being able to do the things that I need to be able to do to defend myself. That victimization includes theft of my personal property on multiple occasions. That victimization includes having people get on my Facebook and claim that every goddamn thing that I post is what? What's the word that we're looking for? Spam. That's right. They claimed it was spam. Imagine that. Now, Facebook's rules have changed just a little bit. Their algorithms have changed just a little bit. So it's not as easy for people to do that. They look for any excuse to try to destroy evidence, any excuse at all. So they've actually taken to complaining about music that is in the background of some of my videos. Why is there music in the background of those videos? Because that's what they were playing at Starbucks when I was at Starbucks making the video. The FBI needs to take a look at this. If you want to help me, harass the fuck out of the FBI. I love you, Miss Peaches. Be safe.